She thought cleaning chandeliers would be the most dangerous part of her job, but the girl in the maid's uniform didn't know that one afternoon would make her the bride of Seoul's most feared mafia boss. Most people who worked at the Han estate whispered the same warning. Don't make eye contact with Madame Eun-ji. The mother of Korea's most ruthless crime lord wasn't just powerful. She was a prophecy. Sharp, calculating, loyal to blood. If she chose you, your fate was sealed. If she dismissed you, you didn't exist. But on one burning afternoon, Madame Eun-ji's fate collided with someone nobody saw coming. A black maid in a crisp white apron, hair pulled back in a neat bun, carrying a silver tea tray. And that's the girl who refused to let her die. The estate's west wing was chaos. Smoke, screaming, shattering glass. Security guards ran toward the exits, shouting into radios. Madame Eun-ji's bedroom was on the third floor. The staircase was already engulfed. The fire chief gave the order. Nobody goes in. The structure was collapsing. It was a death sentence. And then a blur. A white apron. A voice nobody had ever really listened to before. Jessica Fields ran into the fire. The heat swallowed her whole. Smoke choked her lungs. She couldn't see, couldn't breathe. But she knew the layout of that house better than anyone. Every door, every corner, every piece of furniture she'd dusted 1,000 times. She found Madame Eun-ji unconscious near the bed. Flames crawled up the curtains. The ceiling groaned. Jessica grabbed her, dragged her. The older woman was heavier than she looked. The hallway was an inferno. The stairs crumbled beneath her feet. When they burst through the front entrance, collapsing onto the stone driveway, the entire staff froze. Jessica's uniform was scorched black. Her headpiece torn. Her hands blistered and bleeding. But she held Madame Eun-ji in her arms, both of them coughing, both of them alive. Sirens wailed. Black SUVs screeched into the circular drive. A man stepped out of the lead vehicle. Black suit. Ink crawling up his neck. His face was carved from stone, but his eyes were wild with fear. Yoon, the serpent of Seoul, ran toward his mother. What happened? Madame Eun-ji, still shaking, still coughing smoke, raised one trembling hand and pointed at Jessica. She saved me. And then, kneeling on the scorched driveway with her estate burning behind her and half her syndicate watching, Madame Eun-ji gripped Jessica's soot-stained hands and spoke the words that shattered both their worlds. This girl, she said, her voice hoarse but absolute, has more courage than every man in my employ. From this day forward, she is your bride. Before you go, if you're watching this story unfold and want to see Jessica navigate the deadly world of the Han Mafia, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like if you're already hooked, and comment below telling me where you're watching from. Will Jessica survive her first week as a mafia bride, or will the enemies within destroy her before she even walks down the aisle? The fire was just the beginning. Jessica's legs gave out the moment the paramedics took Madame Eun-ji from her arms. She collapsed on the gravel driveway, her vision swimming, lungs screaming for clean air. Someone draped a blanket over her shoulders. Someone else pressed an oxygen mask to her face. But all she could focus on was the man standing 10 feet away, staring at her like she was a ghost. Yoon was taller than she expected. Broader. The photographs in the estate's hallways didn't capture the raw presence of him. His black suit was immaculate despite the chaos, tailored to perfection, but it was the ink that made her breath catch. Traditional patterns crawled up from his collar, dark dragons and serpents coiling around his throat. His hands, clasped behind his back, bore more tattoos, characters and symbols she couldn't read from this distance. His hair was slicked back so severely it looked painful, emphasizing the sharp angles of his face. He looked like violence barely contained. Madame Eun-ji was sitting up now, refusing the stretcher, waving away the paramedics with the kind of authority that made grown men step back. Her gray silk suit was ruined, her carefully pinned hair loose and wild, but her spine was straight. She was speaking rapidly in Korean to her son, gesturing toward Jessica. The words were too fast for Jessica to catch, but she didn't need translation. She knew what was coming. Yoon's expression didn't change. He didn't look pleased. He didn't look grateful. He looked dangerous. Then Madame Eun-ji's voice cut through the noise like a blade. She switched to English, loud enough for the gathered staff and security to hear. This girl saved my life. She ran into fire when your trained soldiers ran away. Jessica tried to stand. Her legs wouldn't cooperate. A security guard steadied her, but she shook him off. She didn't want help. She wanted to disappear. To go back to her tiny room in the staff quarters and pretend this never happened. But Madame Eun-ji was walking toward her now, moving with the kind of grace that seemed impossible for someone who'd just been pulled from an inferno. She reached Jessica and dropped to one knee, an image so shocking that several people audibly gasped. The Lioness of Seoul knelt before no one. She took Jessica's burned hands in her own. Her grip was firm despite the trembling. "What is your name?" "Jessica." "Jessica Fields, ma'am." "Jessica." Madame Eun-ji repeated it like a prayer. "How long have you worked for my family?" 3 years, ma'am." 3 years, and I never knew your name." Something flickered across the older woman's face, regret, perhaps, or shame. "That changes today." Jessica's heart hammered. "Ma'am, I couldn't leave you. You could have. Every man here could have saved me. They chose not to. You chose differently." Madame Eun-ji's eyes were wet, but her voice was steel. "In my world, Jessica Fields, deaths like this are never forgotten. You gave me my life. I give you yours." The estate fell silent except for the crackle of flames and distant sirens. "From today," Madame Eun-ji said, projecting her voice to the crowd, "you are my son's bride." Jessica's mind went blank. The words didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. She looked past the madam to Yoon, who had gone absolutely still. His jaw was locked. His eyes, dark and unreadable, were fixed on his mother. "Mother." His voice was low, controlled, lethal. "We should discuss this privately." "There is nothing to discuss." Madame Eun-ji rose, pulling Jessica up with her. "This girl has more honor than half your inner circle. She will be family." Dune finally looked at Jessica. Really looked at her. His gaze traveled from her soot-stained face to her scorched uniform to her blistered hands, still clutched in his mother's grip. For a moment, just a fraction of a second, something shifted in his expression. Recognition, maybe. Or calculation. Then it was gone, replaced by cold fury. "Understood." He bit out the word. "We'll talk inside." "No." Madame Eun-ji's voice was final. "We announce it now. Before our enemies hear we were attacked. Before they see weakness. Jessica saved the Han family today. That makes her Han family." She turned to the assembled staff and guards. "Spread the word. The Serpent of Seoul is engaged." Jessica opened her mouth to protest, to say this was insane, but Madame Eun-ji squeezed her hands gently. "Trust me, child. Your life just became much more complicated, but also much safer. In my world, being invisible is the most dangerous thing you can be. Now you will be seen." They gave her a private room in the main house. Not her usual quarters in the staff wing, but an actual guest suite with silk curtains and a marble bathroom and a bed so large it could sleep 5 people. Jessica sat on the edge of it, still in her ruined uniform, staring at her bandaged hands. A doctor had come, treated her burns, told her she was lucky, 2nd degree at worst, they'd heal. She didn't feel lucky. She felt trapped. A knock on the door made her flinch. "Come in." The door opened. Yoon filled the doorway. He'd removed his jacket. His white shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, revealing more of those serpentine tattoos. They moved when he breathed. Jessica forced herself not to stare, but it was impossible not to notice the sheer presence of him. He radiated danger the way the fire had radiated heat. "We need to talk." He didn't wait for permission. He walked in and closed the door behind him. The sound of the lock clicking made Jessica's pulse spike. "I didn't ask for this," she said quickly. "I know you're angry." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think I'm angry that some maid I've never met is suddenly my fiancé? You think that bothers me?" "Yes." He moved closer. Each step was deliberate, predatory. Jessica stood, refusing to look up at him from the bed. Even standing, she barely reached his shoulder. "Let me explain something to you, Jessica Fields." He said her name like it was a foreign word. My mother doesn't make careless decisions. If she declared you my bride in front of witnesses, it's because she has a reason. A strategic reason. She doesn't care about romance or gratitude. She cares about power. Jessica swallowed. Then tell her you don't want this. Tell her to defy her. Dune's smile was sharp. In front of the entire staff? After her home was attacked? After she nearly died? He leaned down and Jessica could smell smoke and expensive cologne. I don't think you understand what you walked into today. That fire wasn't an accident. Someone tried to kill my mother. Someone inside our organization. And now you're standing in the middle of a war. Ice slid down Jessica's spine. I didn't know, of course you didn't. You're a maid. You polish silver and change sheets and you're invisible. His eyes traveled over her face. Or you were. Now you're the most visible person in this city. Congratulations. You just became a target. I don't want to be a target. I don't want to be your— She couldn't even say the word. Let me go. I'll leave. I'll disappear. Your mother doesn't have to know. My mother knows everything. Dune straightened. And even if you ran, they'd find you. Whoever set that fire will assume you know something. Assume my mother told you something in those flames. They'll come for you just to make sure. Jessica's legs felt weak again. This is insane. Welcome to my world. He turned toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, you were brave today. Stupid, but brave. My mother respects that. He seemed to struggle with the words. I'm glad she's alive. Then why do you look at me like I'm a problem? Dune glanced back at her. For the first time, his expression was something other than cold. It was almost tired. Because, Jessica Fields, I have enough problems. I didn't need a hero in a maid's uniform to add to the list. He opened the door. Get some rest. Tomorrow you move. Move where? Somewhere I can keep you alive. The penthouse occupied the entire top floor of a building in Gangnam. 40 stories up, surrounded by bulletproof glass and security systems that made airports look casual. Jessica stood in the center of the living room, surrounded by white leather furniture and modern art she didn't understand, and felt more out of place than she ever had cleaning the Han estate. 2 men in dark suits had driven her here at dawn. They hadn't spoken, hadn't answered her questions. Just escorted her into an elevator that required a fingerprint scan and deposited her into this cage. Because that's what it was. A beautiful, expensive cage. She explored slowly. The kitchen had appliances she didn't recognize. The bathroom had a tub carved from a single piece of stone. Her bedroom, and apparently she had a bedroom here, overlooked the entire city. Seoul stretched out beneath her like a glittering circuit board. And she couldn't leave. She'd tried the elevator. It required a scan she didn't have. She'd tried the emergency stairs. Locked. The windows didn't open. The balcony door had a keypad with a code she didn't know. Jessica sank onto the white couch and put her face in her bandaged hands. Footsteps echoed in the entrance. She looked up to see Yoon emerging from the elevator, carrying a tablet and looking like he'd been awake for 3 days straight. His shirt was wrinkled. His hair was less perfect. The tattoos on his neck seemed darker, somehow angrier. You're here, he said. Where else would I be? The words came out sharper than she intended. I'm locked in. You're protected. Same thing. He actually smiled at that. It transformed his face, made him look almost human. Fair point. He tossed the tablet onto the coffee table. It displayed news articles, all in Korean, all with photos of the burned estate. The media is reporting a gas leak. That's the official story. But it wasn't. No. He sat across from her, and Jessica noticed the gun holstered under his arm. She'd never seen one up close before. It was 3 incendiary devices. Military grade. Placed strategically to trap my mother in her suite. His jaw tightened. Someone knew the layout. Knew her schedule. Knew exactly where to hit. Jessica's stomach turned. Someone inside. Yes. Yoon leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Which is why you're here. Until I know who ordered that attack, everyone is a suspect. Including the staff. I know. He cut her off. If you were part of it, you wouldn't have run into the fire. But they don't know that you're not involved. And they'll assume you heard something. Saw something. That my mother told you something. He gestured around the penthouse. So you stay here. With me. Jessica blinked. With you. I live here. You. She looked around the sterile, perfect space. This is your home. One of them. He stood, suddenly restless. I have an office on the 38th floor. Meetings all day. You'll have the place mostly to yourself. There's food in the kitchen. Entertainment systems. Whatever you need. Except freedom. He turned to face her. Would you prefer to be free and dead? She had no answer to that. Yoon moved toward the windows, hands in his pockets. My mother called this morning. She wants to have dinner with us. Next week. She's already planning the wedding. There's not going to be a wedding. Isn't there? He didn't look at her. You saved her life, Jessica. In her mind, that created a debt that can never be repaid. Making you family is the only way she can balance the scales. I don't need, it's not about what you need. It's about what she needs. His reflection in the glass was sharp. My father died protecting her. She's carried that guilt for 15 years. Now you've done the same thing, risked your life for hers. She sees patterns. Omens. She thinks you're meant to be here. Jessica stood slowly. What do you think? Yoon was quiet for a long moment. Then he turned, and his eyes met hers. I think you're an ordinary woman who did an extraordinary thing. I think you're in over your head. And I think. He trailed off. What? I think you might be the only person in this building who isn't afraid of me. Jessica almost laughed. I'm terrified of you. No, you're not. He moved closer. You're afraid of the situation. The Mafia, the danger, being trapped. But me. He stopped a foot away. You look me in the eye when you talk. Most people can't do that. She hadn't realized. But he was right. She was looking directly at him, at those dark, calculating eyes. Should I be afraid of you? Probably. Are you going to hurt me? No. The word was immediate, certain. But I can't promise others won't try. 3 days passed in strange isolation. Jessica learned the rhythm of Yoon's life. He left early, returned late. Sometimes he brought papers, worked at the dining table while she pretended to watch television. Sometimes he brought men in suits who spoke in hushed Korean and eyed her with suspicion. Sometimes he brought takeout and ate in silence, scrolling through his phone. They didn't talk much. But she noticed things. The way he favored his right shoulder, an old injury. The way he checked every lock before sleeping. The way he never, ever relaxed. On the 4th morning, she found him in the kitchen making coffee. It was barely dawn. He looked like he hadn't slept at all. There's something I need to tell you, Jessica said. He glanced up. About? The fire. His hands stilled on the coffee maker. What about it? Jessica had been thinking about this for days. Replaying every moment. When I was pulling your mother out, I smelled something. Not just smoke. Something chemical. Sweet, almost. Like. She searched for the word. Like almonds. Yoon set down his mug very carefully. Almonds. I used to clean the estate's garage. Sometimes the mechanics used this solvent. It had that same smell. She moved closer. I remember thinking it was strange. Why would that smell be in your mother's bedroom? Because it shouldn't be there at all. Yoon was already pulling out his phone. That's thermite accelerant. We use it for specialized operations. It's kept in a secure facility. He looked at her, and something had shifted in his expression. Respect, maybe. Only senior members have access. So whoever set the fire has high-level clearance. He was dialing, speaking rapid Korean into the phone. Then he turned back to Jessica. That's good. That's actually very good. You just narrowed our suspect list considerably. I should have said something sooner, you said something now. He grabbed his jacket. I need to make some calls. There's a security team in the lobby. Don't open the door for anyone except me. Understand? Jessica nodded. He paused at the elevator. Jessica? Thank you. She watched him disappear, feeling something shift between them. She'd been useful. Not decorative, not invisible. Useful. The dress arrived on the 7th day. 3 women came with it, chattering in Korean, pulling Jessica into the bedroom before she could protest. The dress was emerald green, silk, cut to skim her curves without being obvious about it. The women did her hair, her makeup, pinned jewelry she was afraid to touch. When Yoon saw her, he stopped mid-sentence on his phone call. Jessica crossed her arms. Your mother sent stylists. I couldn't exactly say no. You look. He seemed to struggle. Good. You look good. Where am I going? We're going. Charity gala downtown. One of our front companies. It's expected that I attend. He adjusted his own suit, black, perfectly tailored, making his tattoos stand out like war paint. And it's expected that I bring my fiancé. The word still made her stomach flip. Is this safe? No. He was honest, at least. But staying hidden forever isn't an option. We need to be seen. Need to show strength. He held out his arm. Think you can pretend to like me for 3 hours? Jessica took his arm. His muscles were solid beneath the fabric. I'll try. The gala was exactly what she expected, chandeliers and champagne, and people in clothes that cost more than her yearly salary. Yoon navigated it like a predator in a zoo, shaking hands, speaking Korean and English and what sounded like Japanese. Jessica stayed close, smiling when expected, nodding when appropriate. People stared. Of course they did. Word had spread. The maid who saved the lioness. The nobody who became somebody overnight. You're doing well, Yoon murmured during a break between conversations. Better than I expected. I've been invisible my whole life, Jessica said quietly. I know how to watch people. Learn what they want. And what do they want? To see if I'm real. If this is real. If the rumors are true. Are they? He was looking at her differently now. True. Before she could answer, the lights went out. Screams erupted in the darkness. Jessica felt Yoon's arm snake around her waist, pulling her close. His voice was against her ear. Stay with me. Don't run. Gunfire shattered the night. Muzzle flashes lit the ballroom in horrifying bursts. People scattered. Jessica heard shouting in Korean, felt Yoon dragging her toward cover. They dropped behind a marble column just as bullets chewed into the wall where they'd been standing. How many? Yoon had produced a gun from somewhere. His voice was completely calm. Jessica's mind was racing. She'd counted the flashes. 3 shooters. Maybe 4. Northeast corner, by the orchestra platform. He looked at her sharply. You counted? Yes. In the dark. She hadn't even realized she'd done it. Yes. Something like admiration crossed his face. Then he was moving, returning fire with surgical precision. Jessica heard men shouting, heard the heavy thud of bodies hitting the floor. Yoon's backup had arrived, black-suited men materializing from nowhere. The shooting stopped as suddenly as it started. Emergency lights flickered on. Yoon immediately checked her for injuries, hands running over her arms, her sides. You're okay? You're not hit. I'm fine. Jessica was shaking now, adrenaline crashing through her. I'm fine. You didn't scream. He was studying her face. Most people scream. I was too busy counting. He laughed. Actually laughed. Then he pulled her against his chest, one hand cradling the back of her head. You're insane. You know that? You're the Mafia boss. And you're the woman who ran into a fire and counted bullets in the dark. He pulled back, looking at her with something new in his eyes. Not just respect. Something deeper. My mother was right about you. Police sirens wailed outside. Yoon holstered his gun and took Jessica's hand. Come on. We need to leave before they start asking questions. As they moved toward the exit, surrounded by his security team, Jessica realized something had fundamentally changed. She wasn't a prisoner anymore. She wasn't a pawn. She was a partner. And maybe, just maybe, she was exactly where she needed to be. The dinner invitation came 2 days after the gala shooting. Madame Eun-ji wanted to see them. Not at a restaurant, not at the estate, still under reconstruction, but at her private residence in Bukshin, a traditional hanok hidden behind modern walls and enough security to protect a president. Jessica dressed carefully. The bruises from being thrown behind the marble column were starting to yellow. Yoon had been different since that night. Not softer, exactly, but more present. He asked her questions. Listened to her answers. touched her shoulder when he passed. Small things that felt enormous. The drive was quiet. Yoon's driver navigated the narrow streets with practiced ease. Jessica watched Seoul pass by the tinted windows and wondered if she'd ever feel normal again. If normal was even something she wanted anymore. She's going to ask you questions, Yoon said suddenly. Personal questions. About your family, your history. My mother doesn't do anything without knowing everything. What should I tell her? The truth. He looked at her. She values honesty above everything else. Lie to her and she'll know. And she'll never trust you. The hammock was beautiful in a way that made Jessica's chest tight. Traditional wooden beams, tile roof, a courtyard garden with a stone path. Madame Eun-ji met them at the entrance, dressed in a simple hanbok of deep blue silk. She looked smaller here, more human, though her eyes still held that same sharp intelligence. Jessica. She took both of Jessica's hands, careful of the healing burns. You look well. The dress from the gala was lovely on you. Thank you, ma'am. For everything. The stylists, the clothes, please. Call me Eun-ji. Or mother, if you prefer. She smiled at Jessica's obvious discomfort. Come. I've made tea. They sat in a small room overlooking the garden. Yoon was tense beside Jessica, like he was waiting for something. Madame Eun-ji poured tea with steady hands, the ceremony practiced and graceful. I owe you an explanation, the older woman said, setting down the teapot. For what I did. Claiming you as my son's bride without asking. Without warning. You were grateful, Jessica said carefully. I understand, gratitude had nothing to do with it. Madame Eun-ji's eyes locked on hers. Or rather, not the gratitude you think. Tell me, Jessica. What do you know about your father? Jessica froze. My father. Marcus Fields. Former U.S. Army. Came to Korea in 2008. Worked as a security contractor. Madame Eun-ji's voice was gentle but relentless. Died in 2010. You were 17. The room tilted. How do you? Because he worked for us. She let the word settle. He was one of my husband's most trusted bodyguards. For 2 years, Marcus Fields protected this family. Lived in the guest house on our estate. Ate meals with us. Taught Yoon how to shoot. Yoon went absolutely still beside her. Jessica's mind was racing. Her father had never talked about his work in Korea. Just that he was a contractor, that the money was good, that he was keeping them safe. I don't understand. There was an ambush, Madame Eun-ji continued. My husband was meeting with a rival faction. Peace talks. It was supposed to be neutral ground. But someone had other plans. Her voice wavered slightly. The explosives were under the table. Your father saw the detonator. Saw the man reaching for it. He didn't hesitate. He threw himself on my husband, shielded him with his own body. The blast killed them both. Tears blurred Jessica's vision. No. He died in a car accident. That's what they told us, because we paid to make it look that way. To protect you and your mother. To make sure our enemies didn't come looking for his family. Madame Eun-ji reached across the table. Your father saved my husband's life, Jessica. He bought him 3 more years. 3 years I wouldn't have had. And when I saw you run into those flames for me, I saw him. The same courage. The same absolute refusal to let someone die when you could do something about it. Jessica couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. All this time. All these years. So when I named you my son's bride, Madame Eun-ji said softly, it was an impulse. It wasn't just gratitude for saving my life. It was recognition. Your father gave everything for this family. The least I can do is welcome his daughter into it properly. Give you the protection, the status, the life you should have had if he'd lived. Yoon's hand found Jessica's under the table. Squeezed gently. I've been watching you for 6 months, the madam admitted. Since I found out Marcus Field's daughter was working in my home as a maid. I wanted to see what kind of woman you'd become. And you impressed me long before that fire. Your work ethic. Your dignity. The way you treated the other staff with kindness. You're exactly the kind of person this family needs. I don't know what to say. Jessica's voice broke. Say you'll stay. Say you'll let us be the family your father wanted for you. Madame Eun-ji's eyes were bright. Say you'll give my son a chance to deserve you. Yoon made a sound that might have been protest or agreement. Jessica looked at him. Really looked at him. This man with his tattoos and his guns and his fortress heart. Who'd kept her safe? Who'd listened when she spoke? Who'd laughed when she counted bullets in the dark? "I'll stay," she whispered. The news broke at 3 in the morning. Jessica woke to shouting, to Yoon on the phone speaking rapid, furious Korean. She stumbled out of her bedroom to find him pacing the living room, still in his clothes from yesterday. "What's wrong?" He looked at her, and his face was carved from stone. "I've been accused of murder. Park Min-ho, one of our senior members, found dead in his apartment 2 hours ago. Shot 3 times. And the gun they recovered." He laughed bitterly. "Has my fingerprints on it." Jessica's stomach dropped. "That's impossible." "Is it? I own 40 guns. That one was reported stolen from my car last month. I filed a police report." He ran his hands through his hair. "This is a setup. Someone's making a move. Using the chaos from the fire, from the attacks, to take me down." "Who's Park Min-ho?" "He was investigating the arson. Getting too close to the truth." Yoon sank onto the couch. "They killed him to silence him. And they're framing me to create chaos in the family. If I'm arrested, the syndicate splits. Different factions fight for control. Everything falls apart." Jessica's mind was working. "The police? Will be here within hours. My lawyers are scrambling, but the evidence." He looked defeated in a way she'd never seen. "It's airtight. Security footage shows someone matching my description entering his building. The gun is mine. My prints. But you weren't there. I was here. With you. But you're my fiancé. Your testimony means nothing to them. They'll say you're lying to protect me." Jessica crossed to him. Knelt in front of him so he had to look at her. "Then we find proof. Real proof. Where were you supposed to be last night?" "My office. Working late." "Security cameras?" "I disabled them." He saw her expression. "I wanted privacy. We were reviewing sensitive financial records." "Who else was there?" "No one. Just me." He gripped her hands. "Jessica, I don't think you understand. This is over. Someone very powerful wants me gone. And they've made it look perfect." "No." Jessica stood. "Nothing is perfect. There's always something. Some detail they missed." She grabbed his laptop from the coffee table. "Show me everything. The police report. The timeline. The security footage from Park Min-ho's building." "Jessica, show me." He did. And Jessica read every word, watched every second of grainy footage. The figure entering Park's building was good. Same height as Yoon. Same build. Same walk. Black suit. Face obscured. But something was wrong. There. Jessica paused the video. His left hand. Yoon leaned in. "What about it?" "No tattoos." She looked at him. "You have characters tattooed on your left hand. Knuckles to wrist. I've seen you roll up your sleeves. This person doesn't have any." Yoon grabbed the laptop. Zoomed in. She was right. The hand was bare. They used a body double. Someone close to my size. But they forgot. The tattoos are visible even with long sleeves sometimes. Anyone who knows you knows that. Jessica was pacing now, thinking. Who has access to your gun safe? Who could have taken that weapon? Only family. My mother. My cousin Jinwoo. His face darkened. Jinwoo. The one who wanted to start a war? The one who's been pushing for more aggressive expansion? Who disagreed with my father's peace treaties? Who was conveniently out of the country when the estate burned? Yoon was on his feet. Son of a bitch. He's been planning this for months. Can you prove it? Not yet. But Park Min-ho was investigating someone in the family. Someone with access to the thermite accelerant. Yoon was already calling his security team. If we can find Park's files, his notes, where would he keep them? Office. Home. Maybe. Yoon stopped. Maybe on his personal server. He was paranoid about digital security. Kept backups of everything encrypted. Can you access it? I can try. He was already typing. But if Jinwoo gets to it first, then we need to move now. Yoon looked at her for a long moment. Then he grabbed his jacket and a gun. This is dangerous, Jessica. If I'm wrong, if this goes badly, when has that stopped us? She was already putting on her shoes. He smiled. That rare, genuine smile that transformed his whole face. Never. Park Min-ho's apartment was in Itaewon, a neighborhood that never slept. Yoon's team secured the perimeter while he and Jessica slipped inside. The police had been through already: yellow tape, fingerprint dust, the metallic smell of blood still faint in the air. Jessica tried not to look at the stains on the carpet. Yoon went straight for the bedroom, for the hidden server set up behind a false wall. His fingers flew over the keyboard. He's got military-grade encryption. This is going to take. Try his daughter's birthday, Jessica said suddenly. What? There. She pointed to a framed photo on the desk. A little girl, maybe 7, holding a birthday cake. The numbers were visible on the candles. People always use dates they won't forget. Yoon tried it. The system unlocked. You're terrifying, he muttered. I clean houses. You learn to notice details. The files were extensive. Park had been thorough. Financial records showing Jinwoo siphoning funds to a personal account. Communication logs with the rival family that had supposedly attacked the estate. Proof of purchase for the thermite accelerant under a false name, but traced back to Jinwoo's burner phone. And photos. Jinwoo meeting with Park's killer. Jinwoo at the estate the day before the fire, placing something in the walls. He documented everything. Yoon breathed. This is enough. This proves the window exploded inward. Yoon threw Jessica to the ground as bullets shredded the room. Return fire came from his security team outside, but more shooters were coming. Jessica could hear boots on the stairs. We need to go. Yoon grabbed a flash drive, copied the files. Now. They ran. Down the back stairs, through the alley, into a waiting car. Gunfire chased them, bullets sparking off the pavement. The driver floored it, tires screaming. Jessica was shaking. Yoon pulled her against him. You're okay. You're okay. Jinwoo knows we found the files. Yes. Yoon's voice was grim. Which means he's going to make his final move. Soon. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered cautiously. Yes. Jinwoo's voice was smooth, pleasant. Cousin. I hope you enjoyed your little investigation. Yoon's jaw tightened. Where are you? Somewhere you'll never find me. But I thought I'd give you a chance. A trade. The evidence you just stole for something you value more. A pause. Your mother. Ice flooded Jessica's veins. If you hurt her, Yoon's voice was deadly. I'm not going to hurt her. You are. When the police find you at the location I'm about to send. Standing over her body. With your gun. Again. Jinwoo laughed. You've been framed for one murder. What's another? Especially when it's the perfect crime of passion. The son who wanted control. Who killed his own mother for power. You're insane. I'm smart. I'm ending the old ways. The peace treaties, the legitimate business plans. I'm taking the Han family back to what it should be. Pure power. Pure fear. And I'm doing it without you. The line went dead. A text arrived. GPS coordinates. An address in Incheon. The old shipyards. Yoon stared at his phone. Then he made a decision. Take us to Incheon. The commercial docks. Sir, this is a trap, I know. Do it anyway. Jessica touched his arm. We need backup. The police, your people. We bring the police. Jinwoo kills my mother before we get there. If we bring my people, he'll see them coming. He knows all our protocols. Yoon looked at her. This ends tonight. One way or another. Then I'm coming with you. Jessica, I'm not staying in the car. I'm not hiding while you walk into a death trap. She met his eyes. You said I was your partner. So, let me be one. He closed his eyes briefly. Then nodded. Stay behind me. Do exactly what I say. And if I tell you to run, I'm not leaving you. If I tell you to run, he repeated firmly, you run. Promise me. Jessica hesitated. Then lied. I promise. The shipyard was a graveyard of rust and shadows. Massive cranes loomed against the night sky. Shipping containers stacked like tombstones. The smell of salt and diesel hung thick in the air. Yoon moved through it like a ghost, gun drawn, Jessica close behind. They found Madame Eun-ji in the center of a cleared area, tied to a chair, gagged but alive. Her eyes went wide when she saw them. Too easy, Yoon muttered. Much too easy. Jinwoo stepped out from behind a container. He looked like Yoon might have, in another life, handsome, well-dressed, tattoos visible at his collar. But his eyes were empty. Dead. I knew you'd come. Heroes are so predictable. Let her go. Why? She's the only reason you're here. The only weakness you've ever had. Jinwoo circled them slowly. You know what your problem is, cousin? You feel things. You care. Father taught you that. Made you soft. Made you think we could be legitimate. But we're not businessmen. We're predators. You killed Park. Burned the estate. All for what? Power. For survival. Your peace treaties were destroying us. Making us weak. Other families were circling. Ready to tear us apart. Jinwoo's voice rose. I'm saving the Han family. And you were in the way. More men stepped out of the shadows. 10, 12, all armed. Yoon's team was good, but not that good. Not against these odds. Jessica's mind raced. She couldn't fight. Couldn't shoot. But she could think. She remembered the shipyard layout from the drive-in. The cranes. The loading equipment. The fuel tanks that powered the machinery. You're right about one thing, Jessica said loudly. Jinwoo's attention snapped to her. Heroes are predictable. And then she ran. Not away. Toward the nearest crane controls. Yoon shouted her name, but she was already there, slamming her fist on the emergency start. The crane roared to life, its massive arms swinging wildly. Jinwoo's men scattered. Yoon didn't waste the opening. He fired, dropped 2 men, dove for cover. His backup team, who'd been positioned in the surrounding containers all along, opened fire. Jinwoo screamed orders, trying to regroup. But Jessica was already at the next control panel, activating the loading conveyor. Containers started moving, crashing into each other, creating chaos. She spotted the fuel line. Remembered the thermite accelerant. Remembered what Yoon had taught her about their specialized operations. Sometimes you fight fire with fire. She grabbed a wrench from the tool station, smashed open the valve. Fuel began pooling on the concrete. Then she found what she was looking for: emergency flares, standard issue for maritime accidents. Yoon saw what she was doing. His eyes went wide. Jessica, no, she lit the flare. The fuel ignited in a line of flame, racing toward Jinwoo's position. Men dove away, firing wildly. In the chaos, Yoon reached his mother, cut her bonds. Madame Eun-ji ran, supported by 2 guards. Jinwoo was alone now. Trapped behind a wall of fire. His men scattered or dead. He raised his gun at Yoon. Jessica didn't think. She grabbed a piece of rebar from the ground and threw it. Her aim was terrible, but it was enough. Jinwoo flinched, turned toward her. The gunshot was deafening. Jessica felt the impact, felt herself falling. The pain came a second later, white-hot in her side. She heard Yoon roaring her name. Heard more gunfire. Heard Jinwoo's scream cut short. Then hands were on her. Yoon's face above hers, pale with terror. No. No, no, no. Jessica, stay with me. Did we win? Her voice sounded far away. You insane, brilliant, stupid woman. You got shot. But did we win? Yes. His laugh was broken. Yes, we won. Good. Jessica tried to smile. Then I kept my promise. I didn't run. You're going to be fine. You hear me? You're going to be fine. He was pressing his jacket against her side, trying to stop the bleeding. Someone call an ambulance. No. Madame Eun-ji appeared beside them, her face streaked with tears. Hold on, child. Hold on. Jessica's vision was fading. But she could still see Yoon's face. Still feel his hands holding her. Tell your mother. Tell her I understand now. About my father. About sacrifice. Tell her yourself. You're not dying. I won't let you. So bossy, Jessica whispered. And then the darkness took her. She woke to white walls and the smell of antiseptic. A hospital. Her side was on fire, but she was alive. Breathing. Thinking. Yoon was asleep in the chair beside her bed, his hand wrapped around hers. He looked terrible, bruised, exhausted, his suit torn and blood-stained. But he was there. Jessica squeezed his hand weakly. His eyes snapped open. You're awake. He was on his feet instantly, checking her monitors, her bandages. How do you feel? Are you in pain? Should I call the nurse? I'm okay. Her voice was rough. What happened? You were shot. The bullet went through, missed everything vital. You're incredibly lucky. His hand was shaking as he brushed hair from her face. You've been unconscious for 18 hours. The doctor said, his voice broke. They said you flatlined once. In the ambulance. But I'm here. But you're here. He sat on the edge of the bed carefully. Jin-woo is dead. His men are in custody. The evidence from Park's files cleared my name. The police are calling it a family dispute, not digging deeper. Mother is safe. The syndicate is stable. You. He touched her face gently. You saved everything. We saved everything. No. You did. Yoon's eyes were bright. You ran into that fire for my mother when everyone else ran away. You figured out the thermite. You found the evidence to clear my name. You created the distraction at the shipyard that gave us the advantage. You took a bullet meant for me. His thumb traced her cheekbone. You've saved my family more times than I can count. And I've never even told me what. That I don't want you because my mother commanded it. I don't want you because you're brave or clever or because you make me laugh in the middle of a crisis. He leaned closer. I want you because you're you. Because you look at me like I'm just a man, not a monster. Because you challenge me and surprise me and make me want to be better. Because I've fallen completely, utterly in love with you. Jessica's heart was pounding. Yoon, I know it's fast. I know this whole situation is insane. I know you probably think I'm just grateful or confused or I love you too. The words came out easily, naturally. I think I have since you let me count bullets at the gala. Or maybe since you made me coffee that first morning. Or maybe since the moment you said I wasn't a problem, I was a partner. He kissed her then. Softly, carefully, like she might break. It was nothing like she'd imagined. It was better. Real. Right. When he pulled back, his eyes were wet. Marry me. Not because my mother said so. Not for protection or strategy or obligation. Marry me because you want to. Because I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you. You already do. Jessica smiled. But yes. Yes, I'll marry you. He laughed, pressed his forehead to hers. You know this means you're stuck with the Mafia boss, right? The danger, the chaos, the tattoos. I'm pretty fond of the tattoos, actually. Are you? Very artistic. He kissed her again, deeper this time. The heart monitor started beeping faster. Dune pulled back with a grin. The nurse is going to come running. Let them. Jessica pulled him back down. I'm not letting you go. Good. He settled carefully beside her on the narrow bed. Because I'm not going anywhere either. The wedding took place 3 months later. Not the rushed, strategic affair Madame Eun-ji had originally planned, but a real celebration. Jessica had wanted something small, but the Lioness of Seoul had insisted. If her future daughter-in-law was joining the family, the whole city would know. The venue was a historic hotel in downtown Seoul, renovated but retaining its traditional bones. Cherry blossoms were in bloom, petals drifting through the open courtyard like snow. Hundreds of guests filled the space, family, allies, business partners, even some of the estate staff who'd watched Jessica work for 3 years without truly seeing her. Jessica stood in the bridal suite, looking at herself in the mirror. The dress was custom, ivory silk with delicate embroidery that echoed traditional Korean patterns. Her hair was swept up, simple but elegant. Diamond earrings, a gift from Madame Eun-ji, caught the light. You look beautiful. The madam appeared in the mirror behind her. She was radiant in deep purple hanbok, her silver hair styled perfectly. Like a queen. I'm not, you are. Madame Eun-ji turned her around. You saved my life. You saved my son's life. You exposed a traitor and protected this family when we couldn't protect ourselves. You're exactly what the Han family needs. What it's always needed. Someone with courage and integrity and heart. She took Jessica's hands. I see your father in you. That same unshakable strength. He would be so proud. Jessica's eyes burned. I wish he could be here. He is. In you. In everything you do. Madame Eun-ji squeezed her hands. Welcome to the family, daughter. Officially. The ceremony was a blend of traditions, Korean and Western, old world and new. Dune stood at the altar in a tailored black suit, his tattoos visible at his collar and wrists, looking devastating and dangerous and completely focused on her. When Jessica walked down the aisle on Madame Eun-ji's arm, his expression transformed. Softened. Opened. He looked at her like she was the only person in the world. They exchanged vows in English and Korean. Promise to honor and protect. Promise to be partners through whatever came. When Yoon slid the ring onto her finger, his hand was steady. When Jessica did the same, hers shook slightly. I now pronounce you husband and wife. Yoon kissed her before the officiant even finished speaking. The crowd erupted in applause and laughter. He pulled back just enough to whisper against her lips. Mine. Yours, Jessica agreed. And you're mine. Always. The reception was a blur of faces and toasts and dancing. Jessica met more people in 3 hours than she had in 3 years at the estate. But now they saw her. Really saw her. The woman who'd become Do-yoon's equal. His partner. His wife. Late in the evening, when the crowd had thinned and the music had slowed, Jessica found herself on the balcony overlooking the city. Seoul glittered beneath her, millions of lights stretching to the horizon. It looked different now. Not like a place she visited, but a place she belonged. Yoon joined her, draping his jacket over her shoulders. Hiding from your own wedding? Just thinking. She leaned into him. A year ago, I was invisible. I polished silver and changed sheets and nobody knew my name. Now I'm married to the most powerful man in Seoul. It's surreal. Any regrets? Jessica looked up at him. This man who'd terrified her, challenged her, protected her, loved her. Not even one. Good. He kissed her forehead. Because you're stuck with me now. Queen of the Han family has a lifetime contract. Queen. Jessica tried out the word. It felt strange. Foreign. But also, right? Think I can handle it? You ran into a burning building, counted bullets at a gala, broke into a crime scene, and set a shipyard on fire. I think you can handle anything. She laughed. When you put it that way. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the city breathe. Jessica thought about her father. About the choices he'd made, the sacrifice he'd given. She understood now. Some things were worth fighting for. Worth dying for. Worth living for. She'd found her place. Not in the shadows, not in silence, but here. At Yoon's side. At the head of a family that had claimed her as their own. The maid had become a queen. The invisible girl had become the most visible woman in Seoul. And somewhere in the chaos of fires and bullets and impossible choices, she'd found something she'd never expected. Home. Yoon pulled her closer, his lips against her hair. What are you thinking? That I'd do it all again. Every terrifying, insane moment of it. Even getting shot? Even getting shot. She turned in his arms. Because it brought me here. To you. He kissed her again, slower this time. A promise. A beginning. Behind them, through the glass doors, Madame Eun-ji watched with tears in her eyes. Her family was whole again. Her son had found his equal. And Marcus Field's daughter had finally received the legacy she deserved. The music swelled. The city sparkled. And Jessica Fields, no, Jessica Han now, stepped back into the light, into her new life, into the future she'd fought so hard to claim. She was no longer the girl who saved a woman from a fire. She was the woman who saved herself. If you made it this far, you're part of Jessica's journey from Maid to Mafia Queen. Hit that subscribe button to see more stories of courage, love, and finding your power where you least expect it. Drop a like if Dune's transformation got you in your feelings, and comment below where you're watching from. I want to know where in the world people believe in second chances and chosen family. Because sometimes, the most dangerous thing you can do is refuse to stay invisible.